World TV visits Bonaparte and Dr. Zed. A bird ringing in Gibraltar. A replanting project in Central America. A possum search in Australia. And a quetzal search in Costa Rica. Reporters Luis Gonçalves and Lee DeBono meet Dr. Clive Finlayson near the top of the Rock of Gibraltar to take part in a bird ringing.
We're on the Rock of Gibraltar, and over there, 21 kilometers away, is the coast of Africa. This is one of the main migratory routes for northwestern European birds, and we've come to meet Dr. Clive Finlayson.
What's bird ringing all about?
Bird ringing is about catching birds and putting metal rings on their legs, which contains information, basic information such as an address and a code number. And the idea is that you can eventually, over a period of time, maybe have these birds which you have ringed recovered somewhere else, and you can therefore work out the routes that the birds are following.
How do you catch the birds?
We put up what are called mist nets, which are very fine nylon nets, which you place across rides in the scrub, in the vegetation between the bushes. And the idea is that the birds are flying from bush to bush looking for insects or food or whatever, and they don't see the nets and they get caught. The idea is not to drop it. Yeah, okay? Right, can you give me a pole, please? That's it. Great. This string here, the white one. We're nearly there. The idea is always to keep it tight, nice and tight, okay? And the two guys will hold it. We've got another one there coming up in a moment. Thanks, Lee. See, what I'm doing now, Louise, is I'm raising the loops to spread the net out, stretch it to cover as wide an area as possible to try and catch the birds as they fly across the ride. Come on, then. Ah, look, we've caught a warbler. Okay, do you see it there? Now let's try and get this out as quickly as we can so as not to hurt it. Now the idea is to remove the mesh from the legs and gradually try and work our way to release the wing. We'll be very careful not to harm him. It's one wing out. Okay. The head. And we're almost there. She's free. Now, this is a Sardinian warbler, which is a resident here in Gibraltar, and it's a female, you see? It's got a grey head. The male would have a black head. And we'll pop him in the bag, and we'll take him up to the base for ringing. Come on, then. Ah, come along. Okay, we've got the warbler here. What we're going to do is ring him, measure him, and weigh him, okay? Christian, could you bring the ruler and scales, please? Thank you very much. Let's all sit down now. If you sit over here, Christian, and you can all sit over here. Stuart, take him out of the bag first. Right.
What kind of information is put on the ring?
The ring contains an address, in our case, the British Museum in London, and a code number. And each number is different, so that when you ring a bird, a black cap, if you like, that carries a number, and that's exclusive to that bird.
If you find a bird, what do you do with it?
You should take down the address on the ring and the number. You should write to that address and report the ring number, where and when you found it.
What do you do after you ring the bird?
After I've ringed the bird, I measure it. I measure its wing length. That's an important measurement because when I retrap it again, I can measure it and find out whether it's been growing or how fast it's been growing. And I also weigh the bird. So let's see, how much does this bird weigh then? It's 11.2 grams, okay? 11.2 grams. So now, I'll write that down in a minute, 11.2, don't forget. Okay, let's release it then. Come. Okay? Well, this is a good gap, so we can let him go from here. Okay? Off you go then.
I can't believe it's still raining. I guess it kind of blows our schedule.
Well, April showers, you know. Okay, I own that. Another hotel, please.
Nuts. Schedule? Hey, were you two planning a trip?
No, but we're planning to put in a vegetable garden today. Yeah, and this rain ruins that idea, I'm afraid.
You're not gonna let a little rain bother you, are you? If you really want something, you gotta go for the gusto, right, Bonaparte? 2 more hotels, please.
Yeah, well, stick-to-itiveness is one thing, but you know, there's a lot to be said for creativity and imagination.
What, you want us to imagine it's not raining? That's not very creative, Bonaparte.
No, I was actually thinking you might want to plant your garden here, in the house.
What? The soil would get everywhere. We'd make a real mess. My mom would never go for that.
See, Bonaparte? No killer instinct. Change all those houses to hotels, please.
Bold move, Jeremy, I must admit. So, why don't you two try planting your garden without soil?
Huh?
Magic tricks, Bonaparte?
Hydroponics, Jeremy. And the rent, please. That's my house.
Hydroponics. Hey, I've heard of that. How does it work?
Well, you have to think about what makes a plant grow. Basically, about 90% of a living plant is water. Most of the rest is made from carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, stuff that it can get from the water and the air. And the rent, please, Jeremy?
It's coming. It's coming.
So obviously you need air, water, light, and soil. I thought you needed soil.
Not exactly, but you do need the minerals and nutrients usually found in soil, and you have to give the plant something else to support its root system. Other than that, all you need is the proper temperature.
You mean it can be cheap?
If you know what you're doing. You need to sell something, Jeremy?
Well, tell me more about hydroponics.
Yeah, it sounds complicated.
It can be. On the other hand, it can be quite simple and streamlined. You know, people who live in apartments, for instance, can grow their own lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers.
You can grow all that? Bonaparte, how would you feel if you got vegetables for, say, a birthday present or something?
Well, it depends on the vegetable, I guess. But you know, gifts you make or grow yourselves are usually really welcome and appropriate.
Well, let's get going.
Hey, wait for us!
My, what do you know? I win. Hey guys, how's the garden growing?
Great! I chose a simple design. Recycled containers and foam chips. No CFCs, of course.
Oh.
The plant feeds itself through this rope, and if I put it next to the window, it'll get all the fresh air and light it needs. I use the same materials, but with this design, I can control the flow of nutrients by lifting this. And if I do this at the same time every day, while it's getting fresh air and sunlight, my vegetables should really thrive.
Pretty nifty. Jeremy?
Mine's designed for maximum yield. If I play my cards right, I should never have to buy another present again. See, how it works is the water comes that flows. No, I think I have a few bugs to work out.
Owl TV will be right back. Kids all over the world are helping preserve the rainforests of Costa Rica. They're even planting new trees. Soledad and Gaudi investigate the vivero in Monteverde with Cynthia Echeverria.
What do you do at the vivero?
Okay, we're planting trees. We're growing trees for the farmers. We are involved in a reforestation project with around 170 farmers of the area. What we are planting is windbreaks. So in here we produce the trees that are going to be given to all the farmers. And like in this bed, we have around 30,000 seedlings that then they will need to be transplanted to the bags and then being given to the farmers. We use as much as possible native species because we're letting the forest come back again.
Why do the farmers need the windbreaks?
The farmers need the windbreaks in order to protect their pastures, to protect their houses, and for using the wood. Here, let me show you. We have here tubu, which is a native species that can grow to about 1/2 meter in 1 year. Here we have another species, which is called tanto, taper, and it's important for lumber use.
Why do they have that brown cover?
Well, because when they are on the forest, they have to protect against the sun. So this way, you know, we have new seedlings coming up here, so they are protected against getting too dry.
Are these only for the farmers?
No, let me come and show you that we are planting some trees that are really important for quetzal. This species, which is called Ira marañón, is from the family of the Lauraceae, and it's one of the fruits that the quetzals eat. So we're planting trees for use as firewood, as fence posts, and also as letting wildlife to have food available on the patches of the pasture. Actually, these are ready to be transplanted.
Who does the transplanting?
Sometimes kids do the transplanting. Do you want to learn?
Yeah.
Yes, let me present you Luis. He's going to teach you.
Hola. ¿Cómo están? Bien, ¿y usted? Aquí venía a ayudarles a... Le metemos así el palito aquí, lo levantamos y sacamos la plantita.
Volunteers here?
Yes, there are a lot of volunteers working with the Monteverde Conservation League in different levels. Here in the tree nursery, like we just have like 2 paid staff, and a lot of the other work is done by volunteers.
Where did you get that dirt?
The dirt comes from private farms because we cannot take the dirt from the reserve. That would change the ecosystem a little bit.
Why do you put it in bags like that?
In order to put the seedlings there to begin growing and then to transplant it to the farms. Getting to the 3rd year of the project, they have been able to produce around 218,000 seedlings and working with around 174 farmers. So that in the near future, that's going to let them not to go and cut the forest because they will have their trees on their farm. And also the animals that are inside the forest, we have to protect them.
Before 1876, one of the most common squirrels in Great Britain was the red squirrel. Between 1876 and 1929, the gray squirrel of North America was introduced to the wooded areas of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Red squirrels tend to prefer coniferous forests, where trees provide seeds in the form of cones. Gray squirrels tend to prefer deciduous forests, where trees shed their leaves and drop nuts. Both types of squirrel bury these delicacies for when times are tough. They can't remember where, but their terrific sense of smell helps them find these treasures as deep as a foot underground. And what they don't find gets recycled. How civilized. A special report from Vincent Kenny.
The Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park near Sydney is the location for a rather unusual project. Michael Orgy, a biologist at the University of New South Wales, is making a special study of the ring-tailed possum.
What exactly is a possum?
First of all, a possum is a mammal. It's warm, it's hairy, just like you and I, but it's a marsupial. That means the female, the mother possum, has a pouch in which the young possums develop. You know, ring-tailed possums are fairly common, but we don't really know much about them. We don't know how much area they live in. We really don't know what they eat in the wild for certain. So in order to study these things, I've been doing radio tracking.
So how do you radio track them?
Oh, well, I've got these little collars. And see, that's just the size of a ringtail's neck. We put it loosely around the neck of the ringtail, close it up. That forms an antenna. Anyway, if you come along with me, what we're going to do now is I will actually put one of these on one of the ringtails before we release it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Vincent, this one is a male, fairly large for a ringtail. I hope he's in good humor because what we're going to try to do is to get him to poke his head out.
Okay.
That's the spirit. Now, are you ready to catch him if he takes off?
Yeah.
And the idea, of course, is to put the transmitter around his neck without him getting too excited. Come on, chin up. There we go. It's really important to make the collar loose, of course, because the animal may grow. So you see it won't slide over his head, and it's quite free. Won't hopefully harm him, and there we are. One radio-tracked possum. We're going to put him now down into one of these baskets. We use these baskets to release them in, and they'll live in this for a while, and hopefully they'll make their own nest, which is a bit similar. There we go. One possum in a basket. And now we'll take this basket out when we're going to release him in the bush, hang it from a tree, and that gives him protection until he can find a place of his own.
Okay.
Well, we've got to be really careful about what sort of tree we pick to release the animal in. If we put it up in something like that, when it came out at night, it's too exposed. An owl could get it. Really, we want something like that, even though it's a low tree. See, it's a lot thicker, so the animal will be more or less hid. So you reckon you could get the pine cone I've tied the string onto over the tree as high up as you can?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Oh, that's a really good shot. Now bring it up a bit. We need to really tighten it up. Good. Okay, that's good. I'll take it now. One happy possum.
So how does all this work?
Radio tracking, well, first you need a radio, and of course we've got the radios. The transmitters are on ringtail possums around us. We don't know where. Then you need a receiver. I've got a receiver here that can pick up 10 different possums' frequencies. But most important, you need an antenna. And you need a very special antenna. We can pick up a signal. With this antenna, I can find the direction by turning it around until the signal gets strongest. Listen. That way, I think. Let's go see. Yeah, I reckon it's in these bushes here.
Yeah?
You want to have a go now?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Back to you. Now you just hold it like a pistol grip, and you just swing it around until you see where it's coming the strongest, and go that direction. Yep.
I think we found it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, yeah, that's its nest.
Our possum's endangered.
The one I've been looking at, the ringtail, the species as such is not yet endangered. It's common on most of eastern Australia. Really, the important thing that I would like to see is that they don't become endangered. And I hope that if we can do these sort of studies and find out how much room they need, what sort of trees we need to preserve for them to make nests in and to feed in, and find out how to protect them from predators, particularly things like foxes, then we've got a decent chance of seeing that they don't become endangered.
Owl TV will be right back. The amazing Dr. Zed joins Amy and Tanya to check out their amazing reaction times.
Most people think that their reaction time's pretty quick. Probably you do too. Let's see just how fast it is. I'm going to drop these and see how far you went. 64 and 50, about 56. So what really happens is this. When I drop it, your eyes have to see it drop, it's go to your brain, and then the muscles have to react. That takes time. Now, you hold the top with one hand and get ready, and you hold the top with the other hand and just get ready, go.
Pretty fast, huh?
Wow, pretty good.
That's because you anticipated, isn't it? You knew it was going to go at a certain... So this is what happens with baseball players. The batter, instead of watching the ball, he watches the eyes of the pitcher, and he anticipates. And so he's ready to hit it just the same way as you are when you let it go. So you can see it's all in anticipation. That's right.
Toucans sometimes act like they want to be known as the rascals of the rainforest. They clack their beaks together. They chase each other around, and they play with their food. Toucans play catch with fruit by tossing it to each other from tree to tree and catching it in the tips of their bills. That is, until one gets hungry.